The ballroom of Seoul Grand Hotel shimmered under glass chandeliers. Reporters murmured in 5 languages, cameras clicking like rain. On stage stood Kang Ji-seok, CEO of K-Infinity Holdings, sharp in a navy suit and colder than his marble podium. Behind him, a translator repeated his words, wrongly. Tolani Adebayo winced from the press row. She was only there to observe, but when the translator said, "We failed our partners," instead of "we exceeded projections," she couldn't help herself. She raised her hand. "Excuse me, sir, he didn't say failed. He said exceeded. Big difference." The room froze. 1,000 eyes. One silent billionaire. Ji-seok turned slowly, gaze landing on the bold Nigerian woman in a cream blazer, sleek bun glinting under the lights. "You speak Korean?" he asked, tone even. "Fluently," she said. "And clearly better than your translator." Gasps rippled. The translator fumbled a bow. Ji-seok's lips twitched, the faintest smile. "Noted," he said, stepping down from the podium. "You. Stay after. Welcome to Munlyt Stories, where Munlyt meets myth. Love timeless tales? Then hit like, subscribe, and join the circle. Every story begins with you." Tolani blinked. "Am I in trouble?" He didn't answer. Cameras flashed. The clip went viral before the conference even ended. Billionaire stopped mid-speech by fearless translator, "Who is the woman who corrected Kang Ji-seok?" 2 hours later, Tolani sat across from him in his office, floor-to-ceiling glass, soul glittering below. He poured coffee himself. "Your honesty cost me a translator," Ji-seok said. "You're welcome," she replied lightly. It was a mercy firing. That almost smile again. "You're bold." He leaned back, studying her like a puzzle. "Work for me." Tolani blinked. "Sorry, what?" "Full-time translator and cultural advisor," he said simply. "We start tomorrow." Don't you already speak English?" "Fluently," he said, "but not sarcasm." She laughed. "You want me to translate sarcasm?" He nodded once. "And chaos. Apparently you're fluent in both." Ji-seok entered the meeting room, just as she muttered, "The internet needs to calm down." "Too late," he said, sliding a tablet across the table. "Public interest is up 30%. My PR team says you're good luck." "Or bad news," she countered. "This attention won't last." He met her eyes, calm but amused. "Then we'll give them something worth watching." "Like what?" He sipped his coffee. "A story. Something, anything to make this work." She raised a brow. "Sounds suspiciously like a drama." He smirked. "Welcome to K-Infinity." Outside, reporters waited again, hungry for the next headline. Inside, Tolani exhaled, half nervous, half thrilled. She had no idea the real translation she'd be doing was his heart. Tolani adjusted her blazer in the mirrored elevator of K-Infinity Holdings. Her ID badge felt heavy, official translator and cultural consultant. She still couldn't believe it. One day she'd corrected a billionaire, the next she was working for him. The elevator opened to a sleek hallway. Ji-seok's assistant, Minho, greeted her with a polite bow. "Mr. Kang is expecting you." Expecting her was an understatement. Ji-seok stood by the window, phone in one hand, espresso in the other, soul glittering behind him. He looked like a magazine cover, calm, calculated, a little too perfect. "You're late," he said. "I'm 2 minutes early." He checked his watch. "Then my clock is wrong." She smirked. "You should replace it." He almost smiled. "Let's begin the test." "The what now?" "I need to confirm you're qualified." He handed her a folder. "Translate this press statement into natural Korean. No textbook tone. Make it sound human." Tolani scanned it. Corporate jargon, financial data, buzzwords stacked like pancakes. Who even writes like this? People who want to sound intelligent but end up sounding invisible, Ji-seok said dryly. She looked up, amused. "Wow. So you do speak sarcasm." "I learned quickly." An hour later, Tolani placed her revised draft on his desk. "Done. Less robotic, more real. I gave your brand a heartbeat." He read in silence, eyes narrowing, then softening. "You changed my opening line." "It needed warmth," she said. "You sounded like an instruction manual." "What did you replace it with?" "At K-Infinity, we don't just create technology, we build connections that last longer than a Wi-Fi signal." He looked up. That's terrible. Tolani gasped. Excuse me. He fought a smirk. It's catchy, which means it'll work. I hate that. She grinned. You're welcome, boss. Don't call me boss, he said. Makes me sound old. You're 30. Exactly. Later that afternoon, during a team briefing, a group of executives entered. Among them was Yoon Ha-rin, poised, elegant, and unmistakably the woman from every business magazine's most influential women in Korea list. Ji-seok, she said smoothly. You hired a new translator? Interesting choice. Tolani bowed politely. Nice to meet you. Ha-rin's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm sure you'll learn quickly. Ji-seok cleared his throat. She already corrected 3 official documents this morning. Ha-rin blinked. Impressive. You must be quite close already. Tolani smiled sweetly. Only professionally. He prefers his translators accurate, not affectionate. A few chuckles broke the tension. Ha-rin's gaze flicked between them, curiosity, maybe jealousy. Then she turned away. After the meeting, Ji-seok said quietly, You enjoyed that? Enjoyed what? Provoking her. I just translated the energy in the room, Tolani teased. She didn't like the dialect. His eyes softened, a faint smile playing on his lips. Your trouble. Only in 3 languages, she said, gathering her files. He watched her walk out, realizing with mild irritation that for the first time in years, he wasn't bored at work. As the elevator doors closed behind her, Minho entered. Sir, the PR team says social media is obsessed with you and Miss Tolani. The translator chemistry clip has 5 million views. Ji-seok's brow lifted. 5 million? Yes, sir. He leaned back in his chair, pretending not to smile. Tell them not to exaggerate. It's just good teamwork. But his reflection in the glass looked unconvinced. He wasn't sure if it was teamwork anymore, or the beginning of distraction. By the 3rd week, Tolani had learned 2 things about Kang Ji-seok. He never missed a deadline, and he'd never laughed fully at anything. That became her mission. This morning's agenda: prepare him for a partnership pitch with a Nigerian Korean startup. Sir, Tolani began, flipping through slides, if you want them on your side, you'll need to understand Nigerian corporate humor. He arched a brow. Corporate humor? Yes. Business meetings back home start serious, and with laughter. You can't close a deal until someone says, You too like money. He blinked. That's professional? Extremely, she said, deadpan. It's the highest form of respect. Ji-seok leaned back, half smiling. Then teach me. She dimmed the lights, playing a short clip of Nigerian businessmen joking over lunch. When one shouted, You want to collect all the profit, ABI? Ji-seok actually laughed, quietly, genuinely. Tolani froze mid-click, startled by the sound. There it is, she said softly. There what is? Proof you're human. He tilted his head. Dangerous observation, Miss Adebayo. Truthful one, she replied, grinning. Next lesson, hand gestures. In Nigeria, if someone praises you, don't just nod politely. Wave it off, like you're swatting a mosquito. He tried. The motion was so stiff she burst into laughter. Sir, you look like you're chasing a ghost. Better than looking like one, he countered. They both laughed then, easy and guarded. A knock at the door broke the moment. Yoon Ha-rin stepped in, dressed to perfection, carrying a folder. Ji-seok, your father asked me to review the Lagos contract, she said smoothly, before noticing Tolani by the projector. Oh, cultural training. How charming. Tolani smiled. Would you like to join? We're swatting invisible mosquitoes. Ha-rin's polite chuckle didn't hide her irritation. I'll pass. I already understand his culture. Ji-seok cleared his throat. Different culture, Ha-rin. Nigerian, not corporate soul. Her eyes flicked to him, softly wounded, almost possessive. Of course. When she left, Tolani exhaled. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like anyone who surprises me, Ji-seok said, still looking at the closed door. You're surprised often? Rarely. Except now. He met her gaze, and for a heartbeat neither spoke. The silence wasn't cold. It was charged, fragile, warm. Tolani blinked away first. Lesson 3, she said briskly. Eye contact longer than 5 seconds is considered flirting. He didn't look away. Then we failed the test minutes ago. Her heart skipped. We'll review that chapter later. That evening, a new post trended online. Kang Ji-seok finally smiles at Translator during cultural class. Did she just teach him how to laugh? At home, Tolani scrolled through the comments, shaking her head but smiling. Her phone buzzed. A text from him. Next lesson tomorrow. 9 a.m. Bring mosquito energy. She laughed aloud, tossing the phone onto her bed. Maybe Seoul was starting to feel like home after all. Saturday morning sunlight filtered through Seoul's most expensive brunch cafe, gold cutlery, soft jazz, and a dozen influencers pretending to read menus. Tolani checked her reflection in the mirror wall. White blouse, soft curls tucked in her sleek bun, minimal makeup. Professional. Calm. Totally not meeting the billionaire's ex by accident. Except she was. Across the room, Heir sat gracefully at a table for three. When Tolani arrived, Ji-seok was already there, crisp blue shirt, neutral expression, dangerous jawline. Miss Adebayo, Heir said with a smile that glimmered like polished glass. I'm glad you could join us. Ji-seok tells me you're helping him loosen up. Tolani smiled back. Just improving translation between humans and androids. Heir laughed lightly. He's not that bad. Only before coffee. Tolani replied. Ji-seok exhaled, muttering, Why am I here? Because, Heir said smoothly, I wanted to thank the woman who made you smile online. Everyone's talking about your translator lessons. Quite adorable. Tolani blinked. You watched that? Of course, Heir said. It's everywhere. Even my mother said. Ji-seok finally looks alive. Ji-seok frowned. We're supposed to be discussing Lagos logistics, not. Relax, Heir interrupted gently. We can multitask. Eat, flirt, and do business. Tolani froze mid-sip. Flirt. Heir's tone was playful, but her eyes sharp. Don't look so startled. He used to do this often. Long work nights, charming smiles. You're not the first translator to catch attention. Ji-seok straightened. Heir. She raised a hand. Oh, don't worry. I'm not jealous. I just find it nostalgic. Tolani set her cup down quietly. Good. Because I only translate his sentences, not his emotions. The table went silent. Ji-seok tried not to laugh, but a small smile escaped. Let's keep it that way, he said softly. Heir's eyes lingered on that smile. You've changed, she murmured. Maybe I've just learned new languages, he replied, glancing at Tolani. After brunch, Ji-seok and Tolani walked out together. She exhaled. That was eventful. He nodded. You handled her well. She handled me like an appetizer, Tolani muttered. Was that a test? No. Good, because I'd fail. He stopped beside his car, studying her expression. She meant no harm. Maybe not. But next time, I'll reduce the sarcasm. He laughed, low real. Don't. That's my job. As the driver opened the door, Tolani turned. Out of curiosity, why did you agree to brunch with her? He hesitated. Habit. We used to discuss business this way. But today felt different. How so? He looked at her for a moment, eyes softening. I actually enjoyed it. Her cheeks warmed. Then I guess the translator did her job. He smiled faintly. Too well. As they drove off, Heir watched from the window of the cafe, expression unreadable. Then she opened her phone and began typing a post. Old habits return, but new stories always trend. Within minutes, the comments began. Heir hinting about Ji-seok again. Who's the translator she's talking about? And just like that, the internet had a new rivalry to feed on. The invitation read, Formal banquet, board of directors. Dress code, elegant restraint. Tolani read it twice. Elegant restraint. So, don't outshine the billionaires. Min-ho, Ji-seok's assistant, chuckled. Exactly that. By evening, she arrived at the ballroom in a sleek emerald gown that shimmered only when the light hit right, graceful, not loud. Her sleek bun was perfect, her confidence unshakable until she spotted the stairs. Executives whispered, That's the translator. She's the reason the company's trending. At the far end of the hall, Kang Ji-seok stood surrounded by board members, tall and composed in a black tuxedo. He turned, saw her, and for the first time all night, he forgot to hide his smile. Tolani bowed slightly. Good evening, sir. He offered his arm. You're late. I call it dramatic timing. He smirked. It's working. Dinner began smoothly until the chairman raised his glass. Mr. Kang, your translator has been quite the sensation online. We're all curious. What's her secret? Tolani froze, polite smile locked in place. Ji-seok replied evenly, precision. And courage. Laughter rippled. Heir, seated opposite them, leaned forward with a practiced smile. Courage, yes. But I wonder how long she can balance that, publicly. Too much attention can be dangerous. Tolani met her gaze calmly. True. But the only thing more dangerous than attention is silence. A few executives murmured in approval. Ji-seok's lips curved, pride flickering in his eyes. She's been teaching me that lately. The waiter arrived with a tray. Red or white, ma'am? Water, please, Tolani said. None for her. Heir teased. Not even a little to loosen up. Ji-seok's voice was quiet but firm. She doesn't need it. She's already the sharpest in the room. The table went still. Compliment. Statement. Challenge. Tolani blinked. Did he just? Heir smiled tight. I see. You've changed your standards. Ji-seok replied smoothly. I've improved them. A few board members coughed to hide their amusement. The tension sparkled like champagne bubbles. Later, during the networking mingles, a junior executive approached Tolani. Miss Adebayo, I've read your translation reports. Brilliant work. If you ever want to move up. Before he could finish, Ji-seok appeared beside her, expression calm but eyes dark. She's already moving up. With us. Tolani blinked. Was that jealousy? He didn't answer. Time to leave. It was well past midnight when the banquet finally ended. The ballroom lights dimmed, waiters cleared tables, and the last guests drifted out in soft laughter and perfume. Tolani exhaled as she stepped into the quiet hallway, heels clicking against marble. Her head still buzzed from conversation, compliments, and that one particular sentence echoing in her mind. I don't mind being mistranslated, as long as it's with you. She shook it off. Focus, Tola. You're here to work, not daydream. The elevator doors slid open. Inside stood Kang Ji-seok, already loosening his tie. Still here? He asked, voice softer than usual. Someone had to make sure you didn't accidentally charm the investors into buying the moon, she replied, stepping in beside him. He pressed the top floor. You were impressive tonight. Thank you, she said, surprised by the sincerity in his tone. Even Heir seemed speechless for once. Heir's been speechless before, he said, usually right before a storm. Tolani smiled. Should I bring an umbrella to work tomorrow? Maybe a shield. The elevator hummed upward. For the first few floors, silence, not awkward, but thick with everything unspoken since dinner. Then, a sudden jolt. The lights flickered once and stopped. Tolani's eyes widened. Not again. Ji-seok sighed. It's just a brief power delay. Define brief, she said, glancing at the panel. Because the last time this happened, Twitter got a new couple hashtag. He smirked. Hashtag Hanmara was chaos. Maybe this one will be calmer. Hashtag G2, she teased. Has a nice ring to it. He met her gaze, and this time neither looked away. The elevator light glowed warm and low, casting gold on his face. Sharp jawline softened, eyes steady, unreadably yet open. You know, he said quietly, I've worked with hundreds of employees. None of them ever corrected me in public, or made me laugh, or look forward to meetings. Tolani's breath caught. That's a lot of pressure on a translator. Maybe you're translating more than you realize. She swallowed hard, heartbeat loud in the still air. Ji-seok. The elevator lurched, lights brightening. The car began to move again. She blinked, stepping back, breaking the moment. He cleared his throat, straightening his tie. We should continue this conversation another time. Preferably one with full electricity, she managed. As the doors opened to the penthouse floor, he held them for her. For what it's worth, he said, voice low, you did well tonight. Thank you. And the next time someone flirts with you at a banquet, his lips curved faintly, I'll try to look less murderous. Tolani laughed. Good plan. She stepped out, turning just as the doors began to close. Mr. Kang. He looked up. You failed tonight's rule. Which rule? She smiled. No jealousy. The door slid shut, leaving him smiling for once. A real, helpless smile. Monday morning hit like a thunderstorm. Tolani was halfway through her first sip of coffee when her phone started vibrating nonstop. 30 missed calls. 400 messages. She frowned, unlocking the screen, and froze. Headlines glared back at her. Billionaire and Translator caught in late-night elevator intimacy. Power outage sparks power couple rumors. Hashtag Jita trending #1 worldwide. Oh, fantastic, she muttered. The internet ships me harder than my own boss does. She barely had time to grab her bag before her email pinged from corporate communications. Subject: urgent meeting. Inside the boardroom, tension sat thicker than perfume. Ji-seok stood at the head of the table, immaculate as always, though his jaw was set tighter than usual. Executives whispered as Tolani entered. Some looked curious, others judgmental. Ji-seok spoke first. The rumors are false. Harin folded her arms. Then perhaps a formal denial would help. Unless, of course, you'd rather keep the mystery alive. Tolani forced a polite smile. There's no mystery. We were literally stuck in an elevator. Twice, another director murmured. Do you have something against elevators? She asked sweetly. Laughter rippled across the table. Even Ji-seok's lips twitched. Harin didn't laugh. Perception matters, Miss Adebayo. You represent K-Infinity now. This situation could compromise the company's image. Before Tolani could answer, Ji-seok spoke, voice calm but firm. No one here will question her professionalism again. The rumor started because of my name, not hers. I'll handle it. Harin's brow arched. So you admit the media has reason to speculate? He met her gaze coolly. I admit nothing except that people love stories they don't understand. Tolani bit back a smile. Smooth. Too smooth. After the meeting, she caught up to him in the hallway. You didn't have to defend me like that, she said quietly. Yes, I did, he replied without looking up from his tablet. They don't know you. And you do. He finally looked at her. I'm learning. For a moment, the hum of office chatter faded. Just the two of them, standing close, tension sharp enough to cut through glass. Then Minho appeared, breathless. Sir, the media's outside. They want a statement about the elevator romance. Ji-seok sighed. Prepare a press release. Title it Rumor Control. Tolani raised a brow. You're really naming it that? It's honest, he said, smiling faintly. Honesty seems to follow you. Flattery won't fix PR disasters, she warned. Neither will denial, he replied. But truth might. An hour later, the company's official post went live. Statement from CEO Kang Ji-seok. There is no scandal, only teamwork. Miss Tolani Adebayo remains a valued professional member of K-Infinity. Any interpretation beyond that is fiction. Within minutes, comments flooded in. He defended her publicly. Fiction? Sure, January. Just marry her and end our suffering. Tolani groaned at her phone. Ji-seok looked over her shoulder, amused. You shouldn't read those. I can't help it. The world's translating us into a love story. He smirked. Maybe they're better translators than we thought. She looked up, half teasing, half serious. Then what's the truth, Mr. Kang? He met her eyes, voice low. Ask me after the next elevator ride. By Tuesday morning, the office felt like a storm waiting to happen. Reporters crowded outside the glass lobby, drones hovered for footage, and social media refused to move on. The translator love story had taken a life of its own. Tolani sat in her cubicle, pretending to focus on a report. Every few seconds her phone buzzed with notifications. Fan edits, conspiracy threads, and even wedding predictions. She groaned. I just wanted to translate PowerPoint slides, not go viral. Minho appeared beside her. Miss Adebayo, Mr. Kang wants you in the strategy room. Now. Inside, Ji-seok stood surrounded by screens, graphs, articles, crisis timelines. His jacket was off, sleeves rolled up, eyes locked on the chaos. Status, he asked his PR chief. We've issued 3 clarifications, sir, but the public prefers the romance version. So truth is boring now. Apparently, yes. Tolani stepped in quietly. Maybe boring isn't bad. The internet will get tired soon. He turned to her, expression unreadable. They're not tired of you. That's the problem. Her heart skipped. Me? The story has your face everywhere, he said. It's not fair. I can handle gossip, Ji-seok. I know, he said softly, but you shouldn't have to. The room went silent. Even the PR team glanced at each other, sensing the weight between them. Everyone out, he said suddenly. 5 minutes. When the room emptied, Tolani crossed her arms. You didn't need to clear the room. Yes, I did, he replied. They don't understand what this is doing to you. What it's doing to me. She laughed lightly. You're the one on every headline, not me. He moved closer, voice low but steady. Headlines don't bother me, but seeing you anxious does. Her breath caught. You're being unusually human today. He smiled faintly. Must be contagious. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He read the screen, expression hardening. Someone leaked your personal details. Address, university, even your old blog. Tolani froze. What? He was already dialing security. I'm sending protection to your building. You'll stay at my corporate residence until this dies down. Absolutely not, she said. I can take care of myself. His eyes met hers, calm, firm, unyielding. This isn't up for debate. Ji-seok, I hired you to fix my words, Tolani. Let me fix this. She stared at him, the same man she'd once called a walking headline, now quietly furious on her behalf. Finally, she sighed. Fine, but only until this chaos ends. Good, he said, relief flickering in his eyes. And one more thing. What? He paused. No social media, no interviews, and no more elevators. She couldn't help laughing. You're actually jealous of machinery now. He smiled, the first real smile in hours. Only the kind that traps you with someone else. The next morning, K-Infinity's boardroom felt like a courtroom. Reporters waited outside. Shareholders whispered in corners. And in the middle of it all, Tolani Adebayo, translator turned viral phenomenon, walked in wearing calm-like armor. Chairman Kang adjusted his glasses. Miss Adebayo, you've become the company's most searched name in 48 hours. That is both impressive and inconvenient. Tolani smiled politely that a few board members chuckled. Heir didn't. This is serious, Miss Adebayo. K-Infinity's credibility is at risk. The rumor between you and the CEO is false, Tolani interrupted gently. But perception is power. If people see chemistry, we can either fight it or use it. The room stilled. Even Ji-seok, seated beside the chairman, turned slightly. Explain, said the chairman. Tolani stood, walking toward the digital board. Our brand is seen as cold, corporate, robotic. But now, millions are watching our story with warmth, emotion, curiosity. That's free marketing. I suggest we use the moment, not deny it. She clicked the remote. The screen lit up with a slide titled, From Scandal to Strategy. Step 1. Reframe the narrative. Instead of hiding, we highlight connection, cultural collaboration, global teamwork, transparency. A Korean company working seamlessly with African expertise. It's a partnership, not a romance. Murmurs rippled through the table. Step 2. Launch a new campaign, the language of innovation. Acknowledge the world's curiosity, then redirect it toward our products. Humor with dignity. Heir raised a brow. And what if they still assume you're more than colleagues? Tolani smiled. Then they'll assume correctly that we're professionals who respect each other enough to turn chaos into opportunity. Ji-seok hid a smile behind his hand. She was winning. Effortlessly. The chairman nodded slowly. Interesting approach. You propose to make gossip our ambassador. Exactly, Tolani said. If you can't silence a story, you outshine it. The room fell silent, then erupted in quiet applause. Even Heir had to nod. Approved, the chairman said finally. Mr. Kang, implement her plan. Ji-seok looked at Tolani. With pleasure. When the meeting ended, he caught up with her near the glass elevators. You just out-talked the entire board, he said. Was that a compliment or a warning? Both, he admitted. She smirked. For the first time in weeks, Tolani's phone wasn't vibrating with breaking news. The campaign, the language of innovation, was a hit. Sales were up. Comments were kind. Even Auntie Funk had texted, See your life? From translating to trending. Don't forget to eat. So when Ji-seok appeared at her office door that evening, sleeves rolled, hair slightly undone, she thought it was another crisis. Instead, he simply said, "Dinner." Tolani blinked. "Like food dinner?" He smirked. "Do you normally eat spreadsheets?" "Sometimes," she teased. "They're low in calories." "Come on," he said, holding the elevator open. "No business talk. No cameras. Just dinner." She hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But if the restaurant has chandeliers and reporters, I'm running." The restaurant didn't have chandeliers. It barely had chairs. It was a tiny ramen shop tucked into a quiet Seoul side street, lit by warm lamps and lined with steaming pots. "This is unexpected," she said, sliding onto a stool. "I thought you'd take me somewhere with a piano player and food I can't pronounce." He smiled faintly. "I wanted normal. You make chaos look easy, but I thought you deserved peace tonight." Tolani's heart softened. "Peace and noodles. My new favorite combo." They ordered. Steam curled between them, carrying the scent of miso and sesame. "So," she said after a sip, "how does a billionaire even find this place?" "College days," he replied. "I used to come here when the world felt too loud. And now—" He looked at her, eyes steady. "Now it's quieter." She felt her pulse skip. That almost sounded like flirting. "Then maybe I'm learning from the best," he said softly. For a while, they ate in comfortable silence, rare, peaceful, unforced. Then Tolani's phone buzzed. A new article headline flashed across the screen. "CEO Kang spotted at dinner with Translator, romance confirmed." She groaned. "Unbelievable." He leaned over to read it, then laughed. "We didn't even touch hands." "Apparently, proximity equals proposal," she muttered. He looked thoughtful. "Then maybe we should give them something accurate for once." Tolani raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" He smiled, slow and genuine. "Meaning, stop pretending this is just work." She met his gaze, calm, steady, but full of unspoken words. "I don't know if I'm ready for another headline," she said quietly. "Then we keep it simple," he said. "No soft launches. Just honesty. And if honesty causes chaos—" He chuckled. "Then at least it's ours." Later, as they stepped out into the cool Seoul night, Tolani pulled her scarf tighter. "You really think this will stay peaceful?" she asked. "No," he said, smiling. "But I think it'll be worth it." She laughed softly. "Fine. But next time I pick the restaurant." He opened the car door for her. "Deal. As long as it's not somewhere with chandeliers." By dawn, the peace of the ramen shop was long gone. A message from Andy Funk popped up. "If he breaks your heart, tell me. I'll fly down myself." She laughed weakly. "Even my aunt's invested." By the time she reached the office, the atmosphere had changed. Conversation stopped when she passed. Doors half shut, stairs followed like spotlights. Minho met her at the elevator. "The board wants an emergency meeting." "They're furious." "Furious about what?" "The photo, ma'am." And apparently his statement. "His what?" But before Minho could answer, the elevator opened, revealing Ji-seok already surrounded by executives. Heir stood at the center, holding a printout. "You made it worse," she said coldly. "You posted this." Tolani stepped forward, reading the headline aloud. "Yes, I had dinner with Miss Adebayo and I'd do it again." The room exploded in whispers. "Unprofessional, reckless, romantic," someone murmured. Heir's glare could cut glass. "Ji-seok, this isn't your personal diary. You've turned a controlled narrative into a circus." He didn't flinch. "No, Heir. I turned a lie into truth." Tolani stared at him, heart pounding. "You didn't have to." "I did," he interrupted softly. "They twisted something simple into scandal. The least I can do is be honest about what's real." Heir crossed her arms. "And what is real?" Ji-seok met her gaze evenly. "Respect and care. Two things this company claims to value." The silence that followed was heavy. Rain fell over Seoul like it understood heartbreak. The boardroom headlines were everywhere. "Billionaire CEO resigns over Translator scandal." Tolani sat on the edge of her couch, phone buzzing nonstop. She turned down every interview, every statement draft. She didn't need words to know she'd lost something she didn't mean to have. Then a knock. She opened the door to find Ji-seok standing there, rain-drenched but composed, like a man who'd walked through the storm on purpose. "You're supposed to be hiding from the press," she said softly. "I got tired of hiding," he replied. "Can I come in?" She stepped aside, the room filled with the quiet sound of dripping rain. For a while neither spoke. He looked around. Small apartment, tidy desk, laptop open to translation notes. "This is where you work?" he asked. "Sometimes. Depends on how loud Seoul feels." He nodded. "I like it. Feels real." Tolani folded her arms. "Adebayo, that company is your life." He met her eyes. "You're not wrong. But lately so are you." Her breath caught. "You can't just say things like that." "I can if they're true. Truth isn't always safe." "Neither are elevators," he said, half smiling. She laughed despite herself. "You're impossible." "Persistent," he corrected. A soft silence settled, the kind that carried too much meaning to break. He stepped closer. "You once said eye contact longer than 5 seconds is flirting." She nodded slowly. "Yes. We've been breaking that rule for months." Her heart pounded. "Then maybe we need a new rule." He hesitated, voice low. "How about no pretending?" Before she could answer, lightning flashed outside, and the lights flickered out. They stood inches apart, city glow spilling faintly through the window. Ji-seok reached out, his hand brushing a raindrop from her cheek. "You're shaking." "I'm fine," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Liar." His hand lingered a moment too long. Her breath hitched, the air charged. Then she stepped back, breaking the moment with a shaky laugh. "We're not doing this. Not in the dark. Not like this." He exhaled, eyes soft. "Then when?" "When you stop making headlines for breathing." He chuckled quietly. "That might take a lifetime." "Then we wait," she said. He nodded, gaze warm and unreadable. "All right. But just so we're clear, if I ever get another headline I wanted to read," the translator said yes. Tolani smiled despite herself. "Dream on, CEO." As he left, she watched from the doorway. Rain still falling, heart racing with everything unsaid. Behind her, the lights flickered back on. "Too late, too bright," she whispered to the empty room. "Almost doesn't translate well, does it?" Midnight in Seoul was softer than usual. The rain had stopped, but puddles still glimmered like city stars. Tolani sat by her window, trying and failing to focus on her translation notes. Every time she typed, her thoughts slipped back to Ji-seok's voice. "You're not wrong. But lately so are you." She shut her laptop with a sigh. This man is ruining productivity. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Hello. It's me. Ji-seok." Calm but tired. "Shouldn't you be asleep?" she asked. "Shouldn't you?" She smiled faintly. "I'm working." "So am I," he said, trying to translate something. Her curiosity stirred. "Translate what?" "The truth." Before she could reply, he added quietly, "Come downstairs." 10 minutes later, she found him waiting outside in his car, headlights off, city lights reflecting in his eyes. She slid into the passenger seat. "This feels like déjà vu. You appearing out of nowhere with bad ideas." He chuckled. "It's not a bad idea, just unfinished business." He handed her a small envelope. Inside was a photograph, the viral one from the ramen shop. Except this version had a handwritten note at the back. "You said peace can't trend. You were wrong." Tolani stared at it. "You kept this." "I kept all of them," he said softly. "Every headline, every article. They called it scandal. I called it proof." "Proof of what?" He took a breath. "That you change how people see me. How I see myself." Her heart thudded once, hard. "You're saying that now." "I'm saying it before someone else writes the story for us again." She looked at him, the billionaire who once spoke in data and deadlines now speaking in sincerity. "Ji-seok," she whispered, "this isn't easy for me. I didn't come here for attention. I came to work." "I know. And I don't want to be another headline." He turned toward her, eyes warm. "Then let's write one we can live with." She laughed softly. "You and your metaphors." He smiled. "You and your courage." For a moment, silence. Just city wind brushing past. Then he said quietly, "When the elevator stopped that day, I realized I didn't want to keep moving if it meant leaving you behind." Tolani's throat tightened. That's not a business statement. Good, he said. It's an honest one. They sat there, two hearts suspended between confession and restraint, a perfect translation of almost. Finally, she whispered, "Let's see where honesty takes us." He exhaled, a smile breaking through the tension. Hopefully somewhere quiet, maybe without cameras. She grinned. Unlikely, but worth a try. Outside, the city hummed, unaware that its favorite rumor had just turned real, quietly, gracefully at midnight. 2 weeks after midnight honesty, calm returned to K-infinity, or so Tolani thought. The chaos had faded, the campaign number soared, and she was finally sleeping again without her phone glowing at 3 a.m. Then came the email. Subject: New Global Campaign Announcement, The Horizon Project, by Myri Holdings. Tolani frowned. Myri Holdings. Harin's company. She clicked open the press release. Sleek, dramatic, familiar. Too familiar. Same tagline. Same format. Even the color scheme, mirror the language of innovation campaign she and Ji-seok built. She stared at the screen. Oh, she didn't just copy. She translated my entire brain. When she arrived at the office, Ji-seok was already in a meeting with the board. The screens displayed Harin's campaign teaser playing live. Innovation through connection, because even love speaks data. Tolani nearly choked. Even love speaks data? That's my line. The board murmured in concern. Harin appeared on the feed, giving a press speech, flawless as ever. Our project celebrates global collaboration. Inspiration comes from many places. She smiled sweetly. Sometimes, even from the competition. A subtle jab, clear as sunlight. After the meeting, Ji-seok leaned against his desk, rubbing his temples. She's baiting us. Tolani crossed her arms. And I'm this week's headline again. He looked up. She's not after you, Tolani. She's after me. Because you chose me over her. Because I told her I wouldn't play her game anymore. Tolani sighed. So what now? Now we launch something better. She shook her head. No. We don't chase imitation with competition. We lead with authenticity. He studied her for a moment, that familiar admiration flickering. You have an idea. I always do, she said, smiling. But this time, no corporate gloss. Just truth. 2 days later, their video dropped quietly online. No press release, no ads. Just Ji-seok's voiceover footage of real employees working, laughing, translating, creating. Innovation begins when people stop pretending and start listening. This is K-infinity, built by connection, not perfection. Within hours, it exploded. Hashtags trended again. Hashtag real innovation. Hashtag Jita returns. Hashtag truth over trends. Harin's launch was instantly overshadowed. That evening, she called Ji-seok directly. Tolani overheard part of it from his office door. You didn't even fight fair, Harin said through the speaker. You used her again. No, he replied calmly. This time we built it together. The call ended with silence. Later, Tolani found him by the rooftop terrace, the city glowing below. You could have told me you were doing that video, she said. I wanted to surprise you. You succeeded, she said, smiling faintly. Again. He turned toward her, voice gentle. You keep teaching me that truth doesn't need volume. Just courage. She looked at him, steady, grateful, quietly proud. And you, she said. Keep proving that honesty isn't weakness. He smiled. Then, maybe we're both learning the same language. Today, she announced, we're leaving Seoul's skyscrapers and going somewhere real. Ji-seok looked skeptical as he stepped out of the car. This place smells like 10 different spices competing for dominance. Welcome to Mangwon Market, she said proudly. If heaven had traffic, noise, and roasted corn, this would be it. He adjusted his sunglasses, trying not to step on puddles. Do billionaires usually need bodyguards for this? Nope, she said, taking his arm. Just courage, and maybe an appetite. Vendors shouted prices in rapid Korean. Children ran between stalls, and bright umbrellas painted the narrow lanes. Tolani's eyes sparkled as she moved from one stand to another. This, she said, pointing to a tray, is hadiak, sweet pancakes with brown sugar. Mandatory. He raised an eyebrow. I don't eat street food. She tore one in half and shoved it toward him. Now you do. He hesitated, then took a bite. His eyes widened. That's actually perfect. Told you. She grinned. See? You don't need 5-star menus to be human. He smirked. And here I thought you liked my non-human efficiency. I do, she teased. Just not when you schedule emotions in spreadsheets. They walked on, laughter weaving through the market noise. Tolani bought kimbap, tried on sunglasses, and forced him into a selfie with a local auntie who declared, "You two look like a drama couple." Ji-seok laughed, a real, unguarded laugh, the kind that turned heads. Tolani froze mid-bite. "Did you just laugh in public?" He shrugged. "Side effect of street pancakes. Or good company," she said quietly. Their eyes met, easy, natural, but something deeper hummed beneath the lightness. As dusk settled, neon lights flickered to life. They found a bench near the river, plastic cups of iced tea in hand. "So," he said, glancing at the crowd, "this is your piece." "It's my reality," she replied. "Loud, colorful, sometimes messy but always real." He nodded slowly. "Maybe I needed to see this." Tolani tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I've spent my life building walls," he said softly. "You keep showing me doors." For a moment, the noise faded, just the two of them, the city glowing behind. She smiled. "Well, someone has to teach the billionaire how to breathe." He laughed quietly. "Careful, Ms. Adebayo. At this rate, I might never go back to boardrooms." "Good," she said, standing and stretching. "Then I've done my job." As they walked away, a street musician began playing a soft tune, familiar, unplanned, perfectly timed. For the first time, Ji-seok didn't rush anywhere. He simply walked beside her, laughing like a man who had finally remembered how. Peace never lasted long in Ji-seok's world. 3 days after the market trip, Tolani arrived at work to a silence that felt wrong. No greetings. No laughter. Just stares. Minho met her at the door, pale. "You need to see this." He handed her a tablet. A paused video glowed on the screen, security footage. The street market. Her and Ji-seok walking side by side, laughing, her hand brushing his sleeve. The caption below made her stomach twist. "Inside the billionaire's hidden romance, secret cameras reveal truth." She pressed play. The clip zoomed in, cut with dramatic music, and edited captions that turned their smiles into something scandalous. Her phone vibrated. Texts, comments, messages piling up faster than she could breathe. She's manipulating him. Gold digger. He's throwing away his company for her. Tolani's throat tightened. This wasn't even private. We were just... "I know," Minho said softly, "but the world doesn't care about context." Ji-seok stormed into the office minutes later, coat half-buttoned, jaw set. "Who leaked it?" he demanded. "We're tracing it," Minho replied. The footage came from a vendor camera. "Someone sold it." Ji-seok's voice dropped. "Call legal. I want names." Tolani stood frozen. "Ji-seok, stop. This will only make it worse." "Worse? They're attacking you." "I'm used to it." He looked at her, incredulous. "You shouldn't have to be." She met his gaze. "And you shouldn't destroy your company defending me." "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about?" He hesitated. "You." The word hung in the air, heavy and raw. Before she could respond, the office doors opened. Harin walked in, holding a printed statement. "K-Infinity needs immediate damage control," she said smoothly. "I've drafted a response distancing the company from the translator." Tolani flinched. "Distancing?" Harin nodded. "It's not personal. It's business." Ji-seok's tone was ice. "Not happening." Harin stepped closer, eyes sharp. "Then you'll sink everything we've rebuilt." Tolani's voice was barely a whisper. "Maybe she's right." Both turned to her. "If I step down," Tolani said, "the noise will die. You can rebuild in peace." Ji-seok's jaw tightened. "You're not leaving." "I can't stay," she said softly. "Not while I'm the reason you're losing everything." Harin folded her arms. A wise decision. Ji-seok's glare could have shattered glass. "Leave us." When Harin was gone, Tolani took a shaky breath. "This isn't goodbye. It's strategy." "No," he said quietly. "It's surrender." Sometimes they look the same, she whispered. He closed his eyes, every muscle tight. At least let me protect you. You already did, she said gently. Now let me protect you. And before he could answer, she walked away, calm, composed, and breaking inside. 3 days after Tolani walked out of K-Infinity, Seoul was louder than ever. News stations replayed the street market clip like it was breaking news, and gossip panels debated her character as if she were a political candidate. Ji-seok watched it all from his office. Empty, silent, her chair still beside his desk. Min-ho entered quietly. Sir, the shareholders' meeting starts in an hour. Ji-seok didn't look up. Cancel it. Cancel it. He stood, buttoning his jacket with deliberate calm. I'm holding my own meeting. Live. Min-ho hesitated. You mean? Yes, Ji-seok said. If they want a story, they'll hear it from me. At exactly noon, every major network in Korea cut to a live feed from K-Infinity headquarters. A simple stage. A single microphone. No script. Ji-seok stepped forward. Calm. Composed. But his eyes, sharp with intent. Good afternoon, he began. 4 days, you've heard rumors. Some true. Most fiction. So here's the truth. He paused, scanning the cameras. Yes, I had dinner with Miss Tolani Adebayo. Yes, I laughed with her, worked with her, and learned from her. If that makes headlines, so be it. A ripple moved through the crowd. She is one of the most intelligent, principled people I have ever met, he continued. If professionalism means hiding respect or pretending humanity is a flaw, then perhaps it's time we redefine professionalism. He looked directly into the nearest camera. The footage you saw wasn't scandal, it was sincerity. And if anyone must take responsibility for that, it's me. He bowed once. I apologize not for the truth, but for letting it be twisted. Social media exploded within minutes. Did he just defend her live? Protecting her like a true K-drama hero. Give that man an award. Tolani watched the broadcast from her apartment, speechless. Her phone rang. Min-ho. Miss Adebayo, you need to come in. When she arrived, staff members actually clapped. Even the security guard smiled. Ji-seok met her in the lobby, relief flickering across his usually controlled expression. You didn't have to do that, she said softly. I did, he replied, because the truth shouldn't need a PR team. She shook her head, smiling despite tears threatening. You really are impossible. Persistent, he corrected gently. For a moment, silence, that same charged quiet they always fell into before the world found them again. Thank you, she whispered, for choosing truth. He looked at her, eyes warm. I wasn't choosing truth, Tolani. I was choosing you. Her heart stuttered. You realize that's another headline, right? He smiled faintly. Then it'll be my favorite one. The cameras outside roared again, but inside, the noise didn't matter anymore. For 2 days, the city buzzed with a single sentence from Ji-seok's broadcast. I wasn't choosing truth. I was choosing you. Clips flooded TikTok. Journalists argued over his tone, and fans flooded comment sections with hearts. K-Infinity's stock rose instead of falling. For once, chaos had worked in his favor. But Tolani didn't care about numbers. She cared about what came next. So when Ji-seok texted, "Meet me at 7. Dress like yourself," she hesitated, smiled, and typed back, "Which self?" His reply came instantly, "The one who I can't get enough of." That evening, Seoul's skyline shimmered under gold and lavender light. Tolani arrived at the rooftop of K-Infinity's headquarters, the same building where every scandal had begun. It was quiet now. String lights hung over a small platform. A few staff members whispered near the edges, smiling. And at the center stood Ji-seok. No podium, no script, just him. "Is this a meeting?" she asked as she stepped forward. "A launch," he said, smiling. "The only one that matters." She tilted her head. "You're not turning this into another campaign, are you?" "No cameras," he promised. "Just us and one post." He pulled out his phone, opened a blank social update, and handed it to her. "Write what you want people to know. Or nothing at all." Tolani stared at the screen, thumb hovering. Then she typed, "Sometimes, the best translation of love is honesty." She hit post. Within seconds, Notifications buzzed like fireworks. Ji-seok smiled. So we're official. I guess we just hard-launched ourselves, she said with a laugh. He chuckled. Finally. They leaned against the railing, watching the city pulse below them. You know, she said, I used to think peace meant being invisible. But somehow, you made being seen feel safe. He looked at her softly. And you made being human feel possible. They stood in silence, side by side, no PR lights, no crowd, no fear. Just soul, alive beneath them. Then Ji-seok said quietly, if we were writing headlines, what would you call this? Tolani smiled. The translator who taught the billionaire how to listen. He grinned. I'd click that. Of course you would, she teased. It's about you. He turned toward her, eyes glimmering with something steadier than humor. No, Tolani. It's about us. For the first time, no one interrupted. No reporters, no cameras. Only two people finally translating love fluently in every language that mattered. The rooftop glow hadn't even faded from their new beginning when the storm hit. By morning, Tolani woke to messages flooding her phone again. Only this time, they weren't gossip. They were legal documents. Subject, official notice, intellectual property dispute. From Heir Holdings legal team. She scrolled in disbelief. Heir had filed a lawsuit against K-Infinity, claiming the language of innovation was her company's idea. Within hours, headlines followed. Heir Holdings versus K-Infinity, love, lies, and lawsuits. Tolani rushed into the office. Ji-seok was already there, surrounded by his legal advisors. His face was calm, but his eyes, stormy. Tell me it's a joke, she said. He looked up. Heir's serious. She wants full creative credit and damages. For something we built together. He nodded grimly. She's calling it plagiarism. Claims she pitched the same concept months before you joined. Tolani exhaled. This is punishment. For walking away from her world. Then she underestimated yours. Ji-seok said quietly. Hours later, they faced a press conference again. Flashes erupted. Microphones reached. And reporters shouted the question everyone wanted answered. Mr. Kang, are you guilty of stealing Heir Holdings' campaign? Ji-seok stepped up to the podium. No, he said simply. And we can prove it. He gestured toward Tolani beside him. Every concept, every word, every visual originated from my team, led by Miss Tolani Adebayo. She has records, timestamps, and drafts to prove it. The room buzzed. A reporter raised his hand. But isn't defending her a conflict of interest? Ji-seok smiled faintly. The only conflict here is between jealousy and truth. Laughter rippled through the hall. Even Tolani had to fight a smile. That night, they sat side by side in his office, reviewing documents. The city outside glowed blue, quiet after the storm of cameras. You didn't have to put yourself in the spotlight again, she said softly. I told you before, he replied. If honesty causes chaos, I'll stand in it with you. You're ridiculous. Persistent, he corrected, smirking. Tolani sighed, then leaned back. Do you ever get tired of fixing everything for me? He shook his head. You never broke anything. Silence lingered, a gentle one this time. She looked at him, eyes steady. Thank you for standing by me. Again. He smiled faintly. That's what partners do. Business partners, she teased. He paused, gaze softening. Let's just call it partnership, without a deadline. Tolani laughed quietly, warmth spreading through her chest. For the first time, she believed it, they could survive this too. Outside, the city lights reflected off the glass, two silhouettes side by side. Still standing, still fighting, still together. Spring arrived quietly in Seoul, painting the city in soft gold and cherry blossoms. The lawsuit was over. Heir Holdings withdrew their claim after undeniable evidence surfaced. Tolani's timestamps, her original notes, her voice recordings. Truth had won. Again. Ji-seok refused victory interviews. Instead, he sent a single email to the board. Integrity isn't a weakness. It's the brand. Then he disappeared from the media for a week. Tolani assumed he was resting, until she got a message from Minho. He's planning something. Big. Or something nice. That evening, Ji-seok asked her to meet him by the Han River Bridge, the the same spot where they'd once stood in silence, back when everything between them was almost. Now, the air was warm, lanterns strung along the walkway. The city hummed softly around them. He was waiting in a dark suit, no tie this time, sleeves rolled, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "You look nervous," she said as she approached. "Correction," he replied. "I look prepared." "For what?" He handed her a small velvet box. Tolani blinked. "You're kidding. Would I joke in public?" "Constantly," she said, folding her arms. He laughed quietly, then opened the box. Not a flashy diamond, but a delicate silver keychain, identical to the one she bought him months ago at the market. "I figured if we're rewriting headlines," he said softly, "we should start with something honest. You don't need a ring to prove what you've already built with me." Her eyes softened. "You remember that line?" "I remember everything you correct me on," he teased. She smiled. "So what exactly are you proposing, Mr. Kang?" He took a breath, eyes steady. "Partnership. Life, not business. I want to build peace with you, even when it's noisy. Especially when it's noisy." The wind carried his words like a promise. Tolani laughed through tears. "You really rehearsed that, didn't you?" "Maybe once," he admitted. "In the elevator." "Of course you did." He stepped closer. "So what do you say?" She took the keychain, tracing it with her thumb. "I say yes, but only if I get equal decision-making power." He grinned. "Deal. Though I'll still reserve the right to veto your street food experiments." She chuckled, wiping a tear. "You'll learn to survive them." As the lanterns flickered above, Ji-seok reached out, pulling her into a quiet embrace. Not for the cameras, not for the story, but because peace finally felt possible. They stood there, laughter mixing with the city's hum. Finally, Tolani whispered, "You know what they'll call this tomorrow." He smiled against her hair. "Let them. For once, the translation will be accurate." Thank you so much for staying with us till the very end of the story. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear the lessons you learned and your thoughts on how we can continue improving to give you the very best. Here at Munlyt Stories, every tale is crafted with passion, care, and dedication. Our mission is simple: to entertain, inspire, and connect us all across cultures and hearts. So, keep the conversation alive in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Till next time, we are Munlyt Stories, bringing you amazing tales that touch hearts and spark imaginations. Stay blessed. Stay inspired. See you in the next story.